Welcome. My name is Kathelijne Marritt and I'm joined by my colleague Jürg Stalder to talk to you about the recent HMRC guidance on CARF. The announcement by HMRC and the guidance that it's published make it clear that we are reaching a pivotal step. The UK will definitely move ahead with the implementation of CARF. This means that already from 2026 the implementation will have to take place, with first reporting starting in 2027. With the definitions around crypto assets being harmonized and nexus rules having been cleared, the regulatory landscape is becoming clearer, but at the same time also more complex. And that's what we would like to look into today. So Jürg, my first question to you is around CARF being a global framework. Implementing it locally will mean that there is some variations locally, so maybe some local flavors. What do globally operating firms have to be aware of in this context?
Well, they have to be aware of depending how they are organized globally, so whether they have a branch office in a CARF country or not, depending on how their investor base, so their clients are spread. They might have to deal with the global standard for the exchange of crypto asset reporting, and then these local legal variations that you mentioned. And I think maybe it's most striking that the announcement by the HMRC came 1 week after, indeed, Switzerland had communicated that they will delay the implementation of the CARF standard by 1 year. So what that really shows is there is the standard that defines, what is a relevant crypto asset regulation, who needs to report, who a reporting CASP is, and then there will be the local laws that might be very close to the standard, or they might decide to maybe leave certain aspects outside. So, for example, to take the HMRC guidance, if you really look closely into the text, it really almost exclusively talks about cryptocurrencies. So something like tokenized securities, which by definition in the CARF standard are relevant crypto transactions, are not really covered by the guidance. So, again, financial institutions then have to also decide, well, what does that mean for the offering? And what does that need on the crypto transactions to be reported? Is it fulfilling the definition of the standard, or is it fulfilling the definition and the requirements of the local law?
Talking about the UK update in particular, what does it mean for crypto asset regulation?
Well, what is really interesting is that it's to start the definition of a crypto asset at like a standard level that has been agreed by over 80 countries, I believe, that have now decided on implementation at various phases. You have behind the CARF standard, you have even the USA declaring that they will implement in 2029. So I think it's really the first time that there is such a global standard. You could say that CRS, the Common Reporting Standard, was a global standard as well. But the US were not part of the CRS, so it's kind of even more global. But really what comes in is then that under CARF, unlike CRS, you really have to report on transactions. And that brings in a host of problems that under the OECD Common Reporting Standard were not present. You need to be able to identify a crypto asset relevant transaction. Then you need to be able to basically accumulate the transactions so that you can do an annual reporting of those transactions across the year in one go. So big changes really to CRS. But I would say, really in a nutshell, the data challenges related to CARF with regards to identifying crypto asset relevant transactions and then report on those, that's really the big challenge.
And you mentioned before there are dual speeds, or maybe even 3 or 4, depending on which group of countries you're looking at. Does that mixture of early adopters and late adopters make things more complex?
Well, I think it really is, especially with the global banks we have in conversations with, is just what becomes clear is that inside those global organizations, the business side needs to talk to the tax side. I know that sounds a bit like trivial, but ultimately the business side will define on like what sort of crypto products a bank wants to offer in what location, and then that has to drive what ultimately tax operations needs to collect in terms of information and ultimately report. It's almost more of a communication exercise within the financial institutions than it is between the financial institutions and the tax authorities. That is becoming really something that is new with CARF.
Well, thank you, Jürg. I think summarizing, we can say that crypto assets were never truly local anyway, but also taxation on crypto assets is really moved to being something global, which means that we must think beyond borders when we're thinking about crypto assets. I'd like to thank you, Jürg, for your valuable contributions. I'd like to also thank you for your interest and would like to suggest you visit the 𝘂𝗏 Group website for more information.